Hello, fellow citizens. My name is Will, and today we will be discussing issues with the modern-day Minuteman, why being a civilian guerrilla may be for you, setting up your mid-range support weapon, and first-line gear that will enable you through distance patrols and prolonged engagements. Stay to the end of this episode and see what challenge you've been invited to participate in. Today's broadcasting of Civilian Principles has been brought to you by me. With that being said, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Come on. You know you want to. See, that wasn't so hard. Good boy, you've earned 5 social credits. Now, an intro guaranteed to increase testosterone, lethality, and resilience in all viewers, regardless of gender.
First off, let's just get one thing out of the way. Over the years, there have been a lot of flaws I've noticed when people preach the focus on being a modern-day Minuteman. Now, as you may know, the term Minuteman refers to colonial militia members in American colonies who were ready to fight in a moment's notice.
Ready in a minute.
This idea of being a Minuteman has been overused and overplayed for, I'd say, the better part, if not more than a decade. And what I mean by that is a lot of people out there push their Minuteman kit and how to be ready in under a minute. And yes, I understand that what is being published makes sense as a baseline for being a prepared citizen, but I feel like the meaning of Minuteman has lost its value over time. And I got it. Minutemen operated in militias to fight against tyranny. But at least from all the content I've consumed over the years regarding the Minuteman mentality, they heavily focus on the rapid response aspect of it, the being ready in a minute to stand your ground or the ability to rapidly defend your community. They don't focus on the militia or community portion, how there will be a massive reliance on community resistance of all types when it comes to combating superior odds enemy just forces in general. And if it's brought up, there's too much of a heavy set focus on the defense aspect of it. And while that is a large portion of it, the offense aspect is rarely talked about. You will not successfully deter a foreign force simply by standing your ground. A good defense is a great offense. You have to be willing to outmaneuver, destabilize, and destroy an invader's ability to operate within our land. You have to utilize your community to gather intelligence, create supply lines, and promote a network of sufficient aid to people who are resisting against a foreign force. Now, I'm not bashing anyone whose first steps for investing in gear or firearm space was simply due to the patriotic urge to be a Minuteman. Hell, Minutemen allowed freedom-loving Americans to have a sense of peace, while enabling the right to protect themselves against tyranny at a moment's notice. And if a threat ever occurred where you were called upon to be ready in a minute, and you were, then life would be great. The issue I've had with the Minuteman mindset comes from the position our society currently is in. The era where Minutemen thrived it's behind us. With the rapid expansion of the country needing to travel farther to make better money, and the gridlock having the ability of shutting down your means of effective transportation, the possibility of being a Minuteman was cut at the knees. The simple reality is most people won't be ready in a minute, not even remotely close. Now, a majority of people don't even work within 10 minutes of their home. But let's assume your work is located exactly 10 minutes away. And not a normal 10 minutes either. I'm talking about you redlining your vehicle, running red lights, swerving through traffic, and not encountering any life-altering issues along the way. That's 10 minutes from your weapons, 10 minutes from any sort of sustainment, 10 minutes from your security and safety, and that's just getting to the gear. Not to mention actually having it in a status that is ready enough to just toss on and go. You would still have to do a rough and dirty version of PCCs and PCIs. Then, assuming you have all of your ducks in a row, you'd still need to locate whatever the issue is, get to said issue, and rally with other Minutemen, form a plan, and operate. And in that mission space, you have to be effective enough to not worry about second and third lines of sustainment. And I get it, I'm harping on the readiness aspect of it, but that's what the Minutemen foundationally are known for. Not only that, but when someone hears the word Minuteman and they haven't had a history lesson or are going strictly off of what other creators are pushing out, they think ready in a minute. Now, look in the mirror and ask yourself this. If it came to it where there was such a threat that relies on you and others to be your community's QRF, do you have everything you could need positioned close enough to you to effectively make ready and perform in a rapid manner in a minute or less? Hell, even 5 minutes or less. And if that answer is yes, then congrats, you fit what I feel like is the definition of a Minuteman. And if the answer is no, which I'm assuming most of you will not be ready in a severely shortened time frame, then you're better suited as a civilian guerrilla. Now, what is a guerrilla? In the simplest way possible, a guerrilla engages in irregular warfare. I want you to think ambushes, sabotage, raids, hit and runs, as well as psychological operations to counter superior forces. Guerrillas are capable of blending into civilian population, operating in small mobile units, and aim to disrupt and demoralize a stronger enemy force over time. Guerrillas rely heavily on stealth, local knowledge of the terrain, and the ability to adapt to their current situation. And when I say terrain, I'm not just talking about the hills or the forest. I'm talking about generalized land in your area. Buildings, infrastructure, sustainment, water, and other resources you'll need to account for when it comes to denying the enemy any sort of upper hand. If you want an easy way to imagine a guerrilla force, think of what the US faced in Vietnam when fighting the Viet Cong.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker!
Or to an extent, what we faced in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Oh! Hello!
Guerrillas operate in loosely organized or decentralized groups, often without formalized military structure. What I mean by that is you're not going to have a company, battalion, or brigade's worth of civilians forming up and spouting out op wards and doing mass rehearsals. The focus is on smaller groups, usually 30 civilians or less. Now, even without the presence of a military structure or infrastructure, you may have a network of groups with some sort of hierarchy kind of similar to it, while keeping up communication with other groups to maintain situational awareness as to where those groups are moving and operating at. But it won't be anything close to an actual militaristic infrastructure. You're gonna rely heavily on local knowledge and community that you're building and participating in to help sustain you and aid you throughout whatever it is. And to paint an even better picture, think of Red Dawn. And yes, I know Red Dawn, that whole thing has been beaten to death, but it's a great example of what would happen if a foreign force made the really shit choice of invading the United States. Now, Minutemen could be considered a type of guerrilla fighter due to their occasional use of unconventional tactics. Their organized militia structure and specific historical context set them apart from the broader, more flexible, and often stronger concept of guerrilla warfare. Now you may be asking yourself, hey Will, how the f does this apply to me? Guerrillas, or in this case, what we're dubbing as the civilian guerrilla, it's designed to counter a stronger, better equipped enemy. A foreign invader will have advanced technology, air superiority, and organized forces when it comes to fighting you, the civilian. You as a guerrilla can exploit the enemy's weaknesses by avoiding direct confrontation, targeting supply lines, communication hubs, isolating units, and then disappearing. This will absolutely disrupt an enemy's ability to control key terrain and will stretch their resources thin enough and decrease their morale and effectiveness. You, as a civilian, are better off operating as a guerrilla than a Minuteman. You are, plain and simple. Most people here are building community relations, training within your community, and equipping yourself with the technical and tactical knowledge and gear to succeed against a superior force. You're already doing it and you don't even know it. Now that we've established that baseline understanding of what a guerrilla is and the community surrounding its success, let's get into what you'll need to be successful. There are so many different ideas of the perfect weapon for civilian use. Everyone follows different trends and use cases for preparing their fighting rifle. And I'm here to bring you another one. And don't worry, this is based in reality and actual concepts and use cases. Now, I thought to myself, what would be the perfect rifle for a guerrilla's use case? Most of you might be thinking, oh, it's a GPR. that stands for general purpose rifle, and for the most part, you'd be right. However, rarely do I see GPRs having the ability to sustain accurate engagements while also maintaining a high rate of fire. You'll also see people talking about implementing IARs or infantry automatic rifles into squads of civilians, which is great in its specific use case, but its ability for accurate fire is greatly neutered when used with a lot of the setups I've seen out there, which is usually something similar to this, but only a fixed magnification optic. Also, most IARs require a setup of an upper receiver that's extremely expensive to fill that like saw role, and it's just not attainable for most people. And that's where the mid-range support weapon comes into play. A weapon built to accurately engage a target out to 600 meters while being able to have a high rate of suppressive fire. And in a later video, we will be discussing the long-range version of this, so don't you worry, little guy. Building out your MRSW will require a few things. First, a gas system and barrel profile that enables accuracy and higher rates of fire. A handguard to complement heat mitigation while providing a stable platform to handle recoil with the use of a bipod, or without it, preferably with. A durable weapon mounted light. An optic system that has a minimum low end of 3 times magnification with a minimum high end of 14 times magnification, an upper, a lower, and a bolt carrier group that are full auto rated, a super safety or forced reset device that will unlock your faster rates of fire, a buffer system that will allow you to reliably run at higher rates of fire, a tripod to give you the most accurate shooting platform you can quickly set up, a sling to retain the weapon to you, and optionally, a suppressor that is full auto rated while having the ability of adequate sound suppression and flash mitigation. And if you are running a suppressor cover to help defeat some of that miraging that comes off with those shots. So in my MRSW setup, we've got a lot going on here. At least it seems like a lot, but in reality, it's not. It's a pretty basic setup. Up on the front here, I'm running a Resilient Suppressor Simple Man. I have it direct threaded with an Armageddon Gear suppressor cover. This is full auto rated and it's great. I am running a Roscoe 14.5 mid-length Bloodline barrel, a BCM mid-length gas system, Geisley Mark 8 super modular rail. It's beefy, it's thick, helps defeat heat while also not being too flexible. I've got a Harris bipod and a FIREARM 600. Then moving back, I have an Arkin SH4. It's the 4-16 first focal plane with the illuminated mill reticle. I've got an offset primary arms red dot, little pistol red dot for it. I think they call it their mini reflex sight. I'm running a Ballistic Advantage upper and bolt carrier group. I've got a Radiant Raptor LT and Aero Precision M4 E1 lower, BCM FNT trigger with a Hoffman super safety. I've got a BCM Mod 3 pistol grip, BCM buffer tube, and carbine buffer spring while running an H2 buffer, B5 Bravo stock, and a Faro Concepts Slingster. Now, with this setup, I can consistently and accurately hit out to about 750 meters. Right now, this rifle in its current configuration, depending on the ammo I'm using, I'm roughly getting anywhere from 0.8 to 0.9 of MOA. That is, again, understanding how this rifle even works, understanding what my ammunition does for me, understanding my wind call, the elevation I'm shooting at versus my target. It's a lot, but accurately, I can do it with this. And on the flip side, as you saw by the intro, and I'll play it again right here, it has got a fucking unfathomable rate of fire. This thing is really quick. You burn through rounds fast, but I can suppress an enemy if I need to.
I told you to keep your fucking head down. If you listen to me, you will still be fucking alive right now, stupid fuck.
Now, one of the things you'll have to remember when it comes to running anything that's full auto, which this is not, this is a super safety, so I am in a forced reset mode. You have to understand that you are going to put a lot of rounds out, which is really cool. It's also going to cost a lot, which if something's happening, you're probably not too worried about that. The biggest concern I'm going to have is the suppressor cover if I'm running suppressed. The whole purpose of the suppressor cover is not to just turn off the heat that comes from the suppressor. That's not a thing. It's to defeat miraging. If I'm running a suppressor and I'm putting rounds down range, I'm going to have heat coming off of that, which is going to cause this mirage effect through my optic and can throw my shots. The point of the suppressor cover is to kind of mitigate that. Now, when you start implementing high rates of fire, it doesn't matter what suppressor cover you have, unless you are directly pissing on it with antifreeze, it's going to cause that miraging, which again, accuracy by volume, you are not really worried a whole lot about that, but don't assume that this is just going to completely get rid of all of your heat mitigation problems. And when you really start putting rounds to this thing, you're gonna have to worry about an additional 2 things. One is this wrap most likely will smoke. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter how many rounds you put through it. At some point in time, you get it hot enough, it starts to fucking smoke. And if it's getting to the point where it's smoking, it's probably going to get a little bit worse and start to melt your suppressor cover. And after that last range day that we did, which I filmed multiple episodes, but we went out one more time to kind of get a little more B-roll footage, I was putting a shitload of rounds through this. I think that last day alone, we put around 1,000 to 1,200 rounds through this configuration alone. And guess what? I melted a portion of my suppressor cover. Oh well, it's going to happen. If I'm putting a high rate of fire through this weapon towards an enemy and I left my suppressor cover on like a dumbass, it's going to happen. It's okay. Get over it. Don't get upset because the clean aesthetic of your suppressor and suppressor cover is now ruined for future Instagram posts, and it doesn't look that cool to you because it's prestigious and it's clean and blah, blah, blah. It's going to now look a little used, and to people who actually understand what the purpose of this is, they'll understand you were putting some rounds downrange. That's okay. Grow up. And you may be wondering to yourself, what about a regular rifle, right? I do have this. That's not what this is for. This rifle is not for this intended use case of the MRSW or a majority of guerrilla stuff. Will this work? Absolutely. But the specific use cases, skill sets, and just the generalization of long range, high rate of fire, that's what this is for. This is for something entirely different that we've already covered in a different video that will be coming out soon. Now, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but you are going to want a tripod. You don't have to go out there and get some crazy like $1,000 carbon fiber bipod. I think it's like Really Right Stuff or something. You can go out and get a bog tripod and it'll do exactly what you need it for in this case. Yes, is having an Arca mount or mounting system really easy to use? Sure. This I got on discount for like 75 bucks, okay? It's sturdy, it's damn near as tall as me when it's fully extended, but if you look at this footage now, I'm able to deploy this tripod, mount the weapon in it, and either take some stabilized long distance precision shots, or to any of my fellow machine gunners out there, utilize this kind of like how you'd use a TNE for a 240 or a SAW. Now, I'm not gonna have the super accurate adjustment that a TNE would have, but if I loosen it up a tiny bit on the horizontal axis, I'm able to move it around left to right. And then if I loosen it up a little bit more, go up and down. So I can get a very stable firing platform that if you're not used to a high rate of fire, maybe the weapon's kind of throwing you around a little bit, who cares? You mount it in one of these things and you kind of forget about it. Now this is like 7 pounds. And some of you who are gonna argue what I'm talking about right now are probably, how do I say this as politely as possible, morbidly obese, but the trade-off of 7 additional pounds into a very stable firing platform that I can set up in 30 seconds and tear down even quicker, I'm gonna take that weight every single day. I actually left it at the range, so as I'm filming this, I forgot the piece, but we did make a carrying strap for this. So you could just kind of sling it over you and then walk with it, patrol with it, do whatever you need to do. And then if I need to deploy it, it comes off. I undo all the legs, extend it, clamp my weapon down, you know, get it to where it needs to go, and then start shooting. For a long time on the internet, everyone was extremely obsessed with the whole recce rifle setup. And then it's transitioned to the IAR, GPR, SPR, the civilian fighting, all that shit. Me personally, with the people I've talked to and who have now built similar setups close to this, we've all come to the conclusion that this is probably the best we can get within, you know, a price point of under like $2.5 grand, which sounds like a lot to some people because you can go out and buy 30 PSAs for that. But this rifle, getting it to where it needs to be now, this is really good. I have an optic that I can engage from extreme close ranges to all the way out to pretty far. I'm also running an etched reticle, so guess what? If the battery dies, whoop-de-doo, I've still got my shit. If I am running the red dot, a lot of the time it's just for target acquisition, but if I do need to engage that close and where I'm not using the bend and aiming concept, then sure, I've got that there too. But this overall is a very durable weapon. It's very accurate and it's throwing a lot of rounds really quick. And if I wanted to have a prolonged rate of fire, or I want to be able to kind of like maintain my round count, then drag it out, I could just go with a heavier buffer and buffer spring, slow everything down to a certain extent without messing with how the rifle is actually cycling and functioning. But I can go from the rate of a minigun down to like some old Uzi and be fine with that. But again, that's like where the plug and play kind of comes in. And again, a lot of you guys probably already have a setup similar to this, whether it's a GPR or an SPR. But in most use cases, they lack the ability for a higher rate of semi-automatic fire, and this will enable that. Plus, on the flip side of it, the biggest part about all of this is looking cool, and this looks pretty cool to me, and that's all that matters. And if you don't want to run a suppressor, that's totally fine. You can run a flash hider. Please, for the love of God, run a flash hider. Don't run a muzzle brake unless you're running it suppressed. Muzzle brake with suppressor or no suppressor, flash hider. Now we'll get into the gear aspect of it, and this should be the easier subject. Now, people still reach out to me and DM me, and they have all sorts of questions, and they make everything way harder than it needs to be on themselves. But for a guerrilla, preferably, you are going to want a belt kit and a chest rig. And before someone starts yapping in the comments, we'll go over sustainment gear for prolonged use in the next video, but you won't see my ruck here now. I wanted to make something that at its core, everyone will be able to have the ability to create on their own. And with that thought in mind, I actually went to a lot of surplus shops, sourced all the stuff you see here, minus the Helicon Tex chest rig, but I wanted to have a system that I could use separately or together. So up on top, I have got this, what is it? The Helicon Tex Guardian chest rig, whatever, with the actual harness for it stashed in the belt kit. I can detach this if I want to, and I can use it standalone. And then down below, I have got a Cry Precision, their battle belt. And holding it together, I've got an old, I want to say it's an Eagle chest rig or belt harness, excuse me. Now, if you're like me and not built like a hobbit and you're over 6 foot, you will run into an issue with the Eagle harness of at its longest setting, it's still sitting at the top of your hips. So I got creative. I removed the front of the Eagle harnesses, and I actually just took some extra 1-inch buckles and 1-inch webbing, kind of strapped it through, got it to the proper ride height. And then I added a few more 1-inch buckles to the front so I could detach and resecure this chest rig onto the harness itself. So how much ammo am I able to run in a setup like this? On the chest rig alone, I've got a total of 8 30-round magazines up front. In this side pouch, I am running 3 20-round magazines. The reason for that is because, again, with the MRSW, I want to effectively and accurately push out the distance, so I am running Hornady 75 grain bowtail hollow points out of this. But again, it allows me to get engagements at distance, and that's what those mags are intended for. And then the rest of the magazines up here are for my suppressive fire generalized use. So I've got 8 30-round magazines, 3 20-round magazines. For those of you who can't do math, that together is 300 rounds. That's not including the additional 20 rounds we have in the rifle. How about you point, post, sprawl to some bitches? Now down to the belt kit. Like I said, it's a Cry battle belt. You can see here, I've got 4 rifle magazines, dump pouch, an additional 2 rifle mags. I'm actually carrying my sidearm in a mag pouch. And then I've got 2 pistol mags for that. So that's a total of 6 magazines up here for the rifle. But if I remove my sidearm and the pistol mags, that gives me an additional 4 magazines, which brings my total up to 300 rounds on my belt kit. So ammo for both the belt and the chest rig brings me up to a total of 600 plus what's in the rifle, an additional 20. In the chest rig, I do have a full IFAK on this, or in this utility pouch. Over here, I've got my radio, and then in the left utility pouch, we discussed, I've got an additional 3 magazines here. I've got a map of my area, a compass, protractor, map, and map markers. Whether it be setting up an ambush, taking notes, making a sector sketch, doing any sort of planning, or just leaving my area of rest and security, having those things I just mentioned is a requirement. On my belt, in addition to all the ammo, there's a large pouch right here. In here, I've got a poncho, folding saw, face paint, 2 types for camo, mesh netting, medical, the chest rig straps, wag bag to shit in because you don't want to leave a trace of, you being through there in the first place. Water and food for energy. I've got extra batteries for my optics and everything else I can think of, plus a minimized weapons cleaning kit and some baby wipes. Now, as you all have heard, Mr. Outrunner likes to say his famous line, which is mission dictates kit. With this setup, I'm able to take away, add to, or do whatever I need to do to get through and sustain myself for a mission, or maybe minimalize as much as possible to get through a certain area. This kit is generalized down to what everyone should have as a baseline for immediate action as a civilian guerrilla. Right now, I'm carrying ammo, land navigation equipment, comms, food, and other minor sustainment things. With this, I'm able to conduct ambushes, disable enemy supply lines, conduct psychological operations, and more. All while still remaining pretty lightweight, even with all my mags completely loaded. I'm still really maneuverable. You may have noticed I haven't brought up a plate carrier or a helmet. The reason for that is to show you where to start. In the future, I'll be adding a slick carrier and plates for another video, but this is kind of like the end-all be-all for what a civilian guerrilla should have. It's easy to get, easy to use, and pretty cheap. But again, this is like a really good starting point to be a successful civilian guerrilla when it comes to fighting and destabilizing a superior force or enemy. And the only thing I don't have actually up here is my camelback, because I'm pretty sure I left that at the range too. It's privatized range, privatized land, don't worry about it. I'll go get it, but me. Like we discussed in the previous video, we are going to get into some challenges. I'm about to issue you guys some right now. First is the rifle challenge. Starting at 10 yards, you will engage 5 rounds at a C-zone target or similar. Then you are going to run back to a 150-yard marker or line, deploy your bipod, go into the prone, and fire 5 rounds into the A zone of a target. Your goal is to do all of that in under 35 seconds. Now, this has to be recorded, so either prop your phone up somewhere to kind of get the full thing, or if you aren't a cave dweller, get a friend to help record you. And then the next challenge is gonna be your kit challenge. Send in your rifle and kit. If you tailor it to the civilian guerrilla, you might get some extra points, but give us a picture and a brief explanation of what you have, why you picked the items that you did, and what your intended use case is. In the next video, I'll be reviewing and rating your kit, as well as showing the top 3 of the rifle challenge. The winner of the kit challenge and the rifle challenge will receive a special surprise directly from me. And no, you don't have to win both to get the prize. If you only want to do the rifle one and you win that, great, but you didn't participate in the kit challenge, cool, you're still getting the other one. You can enter by going down into the description, clicking on the link tree, finding the link to the Discord, finding tabs that are labeled gear review and rifle challenge, and you'll place your submissions there. Once this episode is live, you will have 7 days to submit either challenge. After 7 days, submissions will be completely cut off until the next challenge is issued. This gives me time to review everything, decide a winner, make a content, blah, 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 all that shit. Well, guys, there you have it. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this, you hated it, or you could care less, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, your fate lies in your hands. Will you be ready? And as always, don't be a liability.